Yes, back in the studio at Revocation Radio. All right, so today I want to talk about a continuation of what I dialogued about in the previous episode. I said there were 3 projects that I just wanted to lay some information out there about, right? And the first one was Amplify. That's the project that helps people get paid for what they know. This one is LifeLift. Okay, so do you remember January 2nd, 2025? There's probably no reason you should.
Man, I know it was a day on the calendar and I lived it.
Man, okay, so I was sitting on my couch in the living room at my house, and this is when Notre Dame took down Georgia.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah. So I'm watching it. Now, I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I'm not a Georgia fan. But
Same.
When it gets to that level, you're kind of like, oh, man, I'm going to watch these playoff games because this is going to be really good. And at that point, if memory serves me correct, Notre Dame was really spanking them, but Georgia had this capacity to come back on almost anybody. So I'm kind of half uninterested, but half thinking, man, they could turn the corner at any time and then come back and pull, like, Kirby Smart rabbit out of the hat. Who knows? They almost did it to Alabama. They did do it to Alabama that same year. And then Alabama, came back, and...
The last-minute drive to close it out,
Yeah, to close it out, which, man, a nail-biter. So I just remember during that game, halftime, I'm about to check out and thinking, nope, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get onto the IRS website just for fun. Because it's so exciting.
What in the world?
Yeah, that's...
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, no, here's what I was doing. I did get on the IRS website, but up until that time, my dad had really been talking about doing a 501c3, a nonprofit. And at some point, you just got to bite the bullet and start shoveling the paperwork. Because once you shovel the paperwork, and it's such a process, I mean, you got to have a name reserved with the Secretary of State in your state. And then you got to have an EIN number. And then you got to have some level of bylaws. And then you got to have, and I don't even remember what the order is. You got to have like 4 or 5 different things, and they got to be a certain order. And then you can go and you can finally file these forms on the IRS website to get a 501c3. That means it's a nonprofit that's registered. So people can give you tax deductible donations and all sorts of things.
And you don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah. But then you got to wait. And once you get it, you just wait for the speedy government bureaucracy to kick in and do its rocket speed efficiency.
You got a lot of air quotes going on right now.
Yeah.
Lots.
Well, yeah, I know, like through the airwaves or through the whatever podcast player, radio, wherever you're listening, you're probably going, yeah, that's not how my government works. I mean, we don't even like to go to the DMV. The IRS is efficient if you owe them money. Like they'll come quick. Yeah, but if like anything else, it seems to be, we just kind of...
We'll put you on a list.
It's tortoise and hare. It's hare if they're after you. It's tortoise if it's you to them, generally. Here's what was going on. My mom passed in May of 2024. She had been struggling with some health issues, and so it wasn't unexpected, but yet it wasn't expected either because she had come through so much. And during that season, I had been teaching her using all of the Amplify processes that we talked about previous episode, how to take some of my dad's notes from sermons he had done, from even workshops and extended Bible studies that he had done, and translate those, transform those to content that people could purchase, on a website. And so one of the projects, oddly enough, the last project that she was working on, I was working on it with her, was a project my dad had done as a senior adult pastor at Mount Zion Baptist up in Huntsville. They had, at the time, I think about 700 plus senior adults on roll. I mean, that's a massive amount of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so like to use our language from previous episode when I was being funny, it wasn't a giga church, but it was a mega.
It was mega, yeah.
And you had a massive chunk of them senior adults. And so he had done this Wednesday morning Bible study for a couple years, and it was on the most recent series, heaven. Presumably, as a senior adult, you're thinking, okay, we're next in line to get there. And so it's a real concern of, man, is this thing even real? And if it is, what's it like? And are we still going to be married when we get there? And are we still going to know each other? Or like, do we get up there and it's like one long church service? Or do we there's all these questions.
Mhm.
And what you do when you read through the scripture, you find out heaven is actually one of the most practical doctrines and informs everything. I mean, even like about the resurrection, even about end times. So much has to do with really heaven. There's so much more that's there. So Dad had these Word documents that he'd put together. He was passing them out every week, and the attendance on that, I mean, it exploded. People coming, and at some point, we decided let's take those notes and let's turn those into a book that outlives that project, that outlives that, what was a 10, 12-week sermon series, basically in a Bible study where people are coming in, several hundred people coming through the doors there and learning about this ultra practical, highly important doctrine, would be the theological term, of heaven. In fact, I'm going to put a link down to that book in the show notes. So you can grab that. And if you go, well, I don't want the book, I'm more of an audiobook person. I read the audiobook as part of the editing process. We always do that. You can get the audiobook absolutely free. It's just, again, down there in the show notes on Dad's website. So I'm using that resource to train my mom how to do all this stuff. How do you get paid for what you know, even if you've already got retirement and you don't necessarily need the money, you just want to use the money to fund the mission? And so her and my dad were really working on that kind of at the pace that she could work. And so when he was out of town on a mission trip, going to train pastors in India or Nepal or Romania or somewhere else for a week or two, I'd go get her. She'd come down, stay at my house, and we'd work on it. I'd show her, hey, here's how you take the document and put it into the format of a book, and here's where the table of contents come from, and here's where you go and make your slides so they look the right way. And then you can use those same slides for social media, and you can use that for the course, and you can use that for all these other elements. And here's how you do the webpage and the emails. And so we were working on all of that together. And then, when she passed in that May 2024, understandably, all of it just paused. And the family focused on more pressing, more important matters. Well, after a few months, I was talking to Beth, and my mom had really been driving that content and was working on other stuff too that they were going to promote and push out. And I told Beth, I said, I think that what we need to do is we need to just step in, and we just need to run it like we would run a client's content. We just need to advise my dad, not charge him, but just advise him like I would. That's what I was doing with my mom, and then showing her how to do it. So she would do it like, I just need to step in, and I'll just take it, and I'll just do it. I'll put it on my back, and we'll carry it and make sure that his stuff gets out there. Well, in the process, and I would say everybody, there's a reason like Gen X, and then are you X or would you be the next one?
I'm 1982.
Was that like Z?
I'm
Millennial? Is that?
I don't even know.
It's not beta or alpha. It's something.
No, it's like it's on the edge of X and millennial.
X and next.
Yeah.
Whatever. So there's a reason like all of people that would be in my generation and your generation-ish, even though they're pretty close, like always go a boomer.
Right,
it's
pretty
like,
much.
That's a boomer. They have their unique way of doing things. And so one of the things that he does, and I've talked to so many guys that are like, right in our cluster of age, one of the things he was doing is they had set up this, it was a checking account that was labeled ministry account, but it was a personal checking account. It was not a business account. Okay, you follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, so your wife, Amber's got a business.
Right.
And so she's running that out of a business checking
Correct.
account. Okay.
Yes.
Because the way you run a business is through a business
Business.
checking account, not a personal checking account. But my dad had they didn't know that. That's where you'd go, boomer. They just, but was doing it with complete integrity.
Right.
Had a separate personal checking account. So if he ever sold a book, the money was going into that personal checking account, labeled LifeLift Ministry account.
Mm-hmm.
That was LifeLift was the name of a book he had years ago, 20-something years ago, that I ended up rewriting a couple years ago. But he named it LifeLift Ministries because he already had the business cards done. And instead of buying more business cards, you just go with the business cards that you've already got, even though you could just rename Boomer Decision, even though it's a fabulous name. So I don't know that you could have come up with a better name for that ministry.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the decision was driven by the fact that we already had business cards. That's what Mom said.
You just gotta roll with it.
And now she's in heaven, so nobody can fact check it till we get there and say, hey, was this really how and why? So anyway, personal checking account. Here's what it also meant. I remember going to a church with him one time. He was speaking there, and my wife Beth and I are just there, and this businessman in the church comes up to me, and he says something like, hey, I know next week he's going to insert the name of the foreign country that he was going to that I just don't recall right now. It wasn't like top secret or anything. I would like to give him some money to go on that trip. And so the guy hands me some money, cash. And then, which, we put in the account so you can go on the trip. And then he says this, in the future, when he goes on more trips, and the trips Dad was doing were very unique. Like they're not, let's go paint the orphanage trips. Even though those can be valid, it's not, let's go do work. Straight up, a lot of times church ministry mission trips, you're putting a burden on the missionary that's there because they got to find something for you to do. And a lot of it's more like tourism than it is ministry. It's not that it's not valuable. It's not that it can't be encouraging. But when he was going, like he would go somewhere and they would take a team of like 4 or 5 pastors. I'd been on one of these trips with them. It was incredible. They would go there. There'd be 200 or 300 pastors that would come to an event, and they would equip those pastors to then go impact churches that were local that the U.S. guys would never see. So they were equipping leaders to then replicate and multiply the ministry. All right, makes sense? So so when this business guy sees that, and through his business mind, he's thinking, I want to be part of that. If he ever goes on a trip again, which he will, let me know because I would like to invest in it. And, you're talking like a guy that's worth millions saying, okay, I want to.
Yes, please. Thank you.
So I was like, let me get your contact information, and anytime I'll reach out to you. Okay, well, by running your ministry with integrity, so he was doing it so honestly through a personal checking account. Here's what it means. Anytime you sell a book or take in a donation like that, it's now income to you, and it's no tax deduction to him. Not that guy was doing it only for the tax deduction.
Right.
I mean, I think he was more genuinely motivated by I want to impact leaders around the world. And this guy's 80, so in my 80s, I'm probably not going to go, nor do I even have the skill set, but man, I will fund it and send you to do it. So, when my mom passes, and that was another lesson in, she had everything so much in order and so done with excellence. I mean, such that, one day you're going to die and everybody's going to go through your journals and they're going to go through your files and they're going to go through your folders where you're paying the bills and where you've got everything just there. And on the surface, my mom looked like she ran everything with such dignity. When you got behind the scenes, it was even more honorable and more integrity and even more, because she didn't tell you on the surface how she was doing everything. But when you got underneath the hood, I mean, you're talking about like precision and detail and doing things at this kingdom level of just absolute, the best, transparent, clear easy to follow, all of that. So Beth and I were picking all of that up, and I told her, I said, we got to move that out of a personal checking account, even though it's done correct.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've got to. So I think we need to just advise my dad like you would any other client. And if any other client was walking in and was doing exactly what he'd been doing, but and doing it honestly, we would just say, hey, the better way to do this is either, number one, you need to set up a business, which is valid, and you could do that, to do all of the same stuff that you're doing, writing books and making these trips and impacting and coaching and training leaders, or you can set up a 501c3 and do it as a nonprofit. My suggestion would be set it up and do it as the 501c3 as the nonprofit, but these are the options. We got to take it out of the personal and put it into kind of the professional realm. And so, meeting with him, he's like, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Like let's set up the 501c3. What do we need to do that? Well, you need the paperwork and you got to have a board of directors. So I told him, I'll do the paperwork. I've done it before. If you go find, some men and women that will be on that team and structure board. And so, within 2 days, he'd call me every couple hours and go, hey, I got this one and this one. And then a couple hours later, hey, this guy and this gal said yes. And then within 2 days, he had a board of directors and it was set up. And so what I thought would take, maybe weeks to have all the meetings, man, it was easy yeses because he was reaching out to people he had walked with honor for years. And so, it was like, of course, man, I would love to be part of what you're doing. Well, that meant the paperwork's got to be done now. So,
tag.
Yeah, so it's my turn. And January the 2nd at the halftime fiasco. Now you see how it's all coming back full circle right here. January 2nd. That's when it all came down to let's do this. Let's do the stuff. Let's just start. Go get the articles of incorporation. Go get the EIN. Go get this. Do this. It's like you're playing the hokey pokey, going from one website to the other, in, out, and then finally, at some point during that game, boom, submit. And I thought we would be waiting for. Man, I'm going to say it would be waiting for 7 months, 9 months. I filed for a 501c3 years ago, and it took us about 8 months to get the official letter back. The IRS isn't going to be fast. Like even on the website, they're like, there's something on there that says, don't even try to reach out to us and it gives you a date that's like at some point off in the future. And you just know every day, like that date just moves out depending on when you submitted.
Yeah.
And because I even realized like, oh, if I would have submitted this like 30 minutes prior, my date would have been sooner by like a week.
Oh, wow.
Because like it just clocks over and and it's like they're doing it like these week increments. I've heard of people getting it back within 6 months, 5 months, something like that. I'll go ahead and like shortcut the story on that. It only took a couple weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, I don't know. I'd have to look at the document. It was absurdly quick. It was so quick that I was using my dad's address as the locale of all of the document push because it's his organization. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of the home base where everything was coming. The mail came in so quick to his address that it came in and it was a non-event for him because he didn't know what it was. And so he just stuck it to the side. Like he just assumed it was he put it in a pile of mail for us because, my wife helps him with all of his finances and manages all that for him. But he put it in the pile to the side because he just assumed it was oh, hey, you submitted this and it's in process letter. And it was like the letter, like done.
Wow.
Yeah. 501c3, boom. Like in
new record.
Yeah. I think it was really, I'd have to go look at it. It was like less than 21 days.
Wow.
Yeah. It was insane. Yeah.
How do you even explain that?
You just say like, that's just, That's just what happened. I mean, you can see the submit date where they email you and go, hey, we received your submission. And then you got the final letter, because that letter is what you got to show, donors if they need it, or if they get audited or something like that. And it's what you got to show when you write a grant. It's what you need to show businesses when you're doing a project, and they're going, oh yeah, we can get behind that. We can fund that. So, I mean, yeah, that was it. Here's where it gets interesting with all of that. I asked him, I said, what is like the project that you want to roll out with, like, where are you going to take all this? Like, what's the first, next couple things that you want to do? And we already had the book on heaven up, link in the show notes down for that. Again, you can buy the book, or you can get the audiobook absolutely free. You don't even have to do a transaction. Just go sign up and grab it. But what he had done is, years ago, he had written this series of articles for the Alabama Baptist. It was, I think, 8 articles on healthy ministry, healthy church. And then the Alabama Baptist ran them. I think they reran them. They were so well received, they turned it into this little 5.5 by 8.5 red book that was like run on big printing press, construction paper type thing. Went through 10,000 copies. I think I've talked about that before on here. He wanted to redo it, rewrite it, and kind of update it 20 years later for a new audience. And so I remember before we ran all this 501c3 stuff, when we were just dialoguing about the options, I was in St. Louis showing some documentaries on military trauma, and with another organization I was working with, and training some chaplains on post-traumatic stress and moral injury all day one day, and doing another event at a college, training them all day one day. And during the off time, I remember documentaries playing them, or just kind of thumbing through the original book that Dad had given me about how to lead a healthy ministry, because a lot of them aren't, and the drift would be towards unhealth because people are involved. Man, and anytime people are involved, like, there's just, man, we struggle, we have conflict, and we constantly need to be shapened and sharpened to live out of the image of God that's in us, and be moved and led towards that. And so I remember going through that book thinking, this is incredible stuff. So yeah, we can rewrite this. And as soon as that 501c3 came in, I mean, I had these other projects that I was finishing about that time, and that's when we cranked out the what is going to be called, it is called Healthy Church and Healthy Systems. Originally, just for those of you who are listening who are ministry leaders that kind of go in here, there was only going to be one book originally, Healthy Church. And as we started writing it, what happened was, I think Dad got a vision of what's possible. You start getting in the stories, the illustrations, you build it up, you put in graphics that did not exist the first time around 25 years ago, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, this I thought it was done. In fact, I showed it to my wife, and then we sent home a proof copy, knowing there's going to be typos. Right. We got to go through all this, but the content is done. And I'm sitting in our office when he calls her, and he's super excited about it and says, oh, this is so excited. I've got so many more ideas now. And I'm thinking, there are no more ideas. Like, this is done. And then he wants to come to town. So he comes to town. We go sit at McDonald's, go through it. And I'm like, okay, look, whatever we need to do, we'll expand it. I thought it was done. And it got so much better. Like, even, we had a book, Healthy Church, on the presence, walking in the presence. And then we had Healthy Systems, which was implementing processes and systems. And really, you need both. Mm-hmm. And so this year, really one of the goals there was, all right, let's find some partners, and let's go do 3 workshops live. Let's team teach it. And not you do this session, I'll do next session, you do this. I mean, like, back and forth. Mm-hmm. So which is harder, and you got to have a definite flow, and you got to prep a lot. So we did that, and we did 3 sessions really to develop it, refine it, get feedback, work through it, make sure it's got what it needs, and start rocking it next year, 2026, which is kind of what's on the docket now, and it's gonna happen along with the GY6 project. I'm going to talk about that in the next episode because I'm really excited about that one. Here's what's interesting with all of it. I was talking to my friend Rob. Rob is a guy that, man, I've mentioned him before. He was the guy that lived in a Mitsubishi Eclipse in the Target parking lot and was homeless. And now he and his wife own a real estate brokerage that's award-winning. I mean, they've been she's technically, because she's the broker, been top producer and hit all these other milestones. Rob's the guy that's flipped 300 plus houses, been part of 1,200 plus successful real estate transactions, lost money, I think, only on 2 of them out of all of that.
Dang.
I mean, it's and this is a guy that was
pretty good success rate.
Yeah, it's a pretty good rate. I mean, now he'll tell you if he's sitting right here. I'll bring him in sometime. He'll tell you, hey, look, some of those I didn't lose money, but I didn't make that much.
Yeah, right.
So I came out in the black, but the black might have been a couple $100, and then some of them do really well. Have some Airbnbs. He's got a course where he teaches people. In fact, I get to go on live with him about once a month and help him team teach that webinar where he's teaching people, hey, if you feel like this is your thing, we can do that. Well, I met Rob because when he was coming through his addiction, he had been in and out of rehab, in and out of jail. And finally, his dad was the final one his dad had tried to help him before, but it was his dad really stepping in, discipling him, and walking with him through that long season that got it right. Finally. I mean, it finally stuck. And so his dad's working with him every day and says, hey, today we're going to go to eat lunch at the church. And of course, Rob's thinking, man, I would rather eat a blue jean jacket than go eat lunch at the church. I would rather drink a bag full of freshly mixed Quickcrete than go drink sweet tea and lemonade options at the church for lunch. And he goes, no. Hey, it's called Power Lunch. Shades Mountain was doing this. Pastor Danny Wood, who's since retired, was leading these once a month. He'd bring 200 or 300 business leaders together, feed them lunch, give a leadership lesson. He used to give away Spam as the door prize. The door prize was always Spam T-shirts, Spam hats, actual Spam. It was just his thing. I don't know.
That's funny.
But he took Rob to the Power Lunch for business leaders. Danny gives a leadership lesson, as he did once a month, every month. They all eat lunch, 45 minutes in, out, get back to work. At the end of it, Rob and Lynn was Rob's dad, actually go up and meet Danny. Now, Lynn already knew him. Lynn and Danny, the pastor, were close. They were friends. He'd been in the church for a while, been on mission trips. But he's really kind of introducing Rob as, hey, this is the son that this is the prodigal you guys have been praying for. And it wasn't awkward how he said it or anything. And Rob was at the point where he really wanted to give back and help people that were coming off drugs, out of prison, all the stuff that I had started doing at the village. Well, at the time, Danny was one of the guys that was mentoring me. And so Danny said, you need to contact this guy. And so the pastor made the connection of Rob to me, and then we met over the next few days. That's a longer story. I'll let him tell you at some point here. At that point, he started working with me. And he worked with me on staff for, probably 2.5 years. Guys that were coming in out of prison, we were able to put them to work, learn skills. He knew how to renovate houses because he'd learned it from his father. And I remember, a year and a half ago, after my mom died, and we're going through that season of advising my dad not to run this out of a personal checking account, but we've got to set up the business. And, oh, man, I'm having to get more hands-on, and I'm like, this is going to take more of my time. I remember Rob telling me that it was simultaneously joy, it was this honor, it was this, man, I would love if I could go back and just do that again, of his life, was after his dad retired and Rob was doing all the stuff that he was doing, he hired his dad to come work for him in the house flipping. Now, I mean, in that one, like his dad was the expert. Rob was as skilled as Rob is, he would be the comparatively novice.
Mm-hmm.
No disrespect to Rob. I mean, he is ultra skilled. But his dad, Lynn, just knew so much more. And so he said, man, it was awesome, like working with my dad. And at some point, like I bought him a truck. And then we would be in there in the mornings before work even started. And I would, go, hey, Dad, let me get out this whiteboard. Let me show you this project that I've got. Like, what would you do on this? And like he says, my dad was so smart. Like he would just know. Like I didn't catch all that wisdom growing up because I'm more like concentrating on other things. And I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, yeah, my dad's gotten really smart over the years. I mean, so much so like looking back at how my mom ran things and going, once you find these people that have lived really well and are living really well, it's not that they're perfect. I mean, I could tell you right now, like some of the mistakes, they could tell you, but it's like you see this depth of character and depth of life. And so we were talking about that transition. At the time I was helping Rob write a book, he and his wife, and he said, man, if I were you, I would go in and if I had the time and had the capacity, I would walk away from other income streams. I would walk away from focusing on some other things, and I would carve out the time because you don't know if he'll be here for 5 more years. You don't know if you have a year. You might have 15 or 20. But it's like to actually have that season and be intentional. And so, that's kind of where we've gone. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, last week, project number 1, amplify. How to get paid for what you know. You got a message inside of you, we'll help you get it out. This episode, talking about LifeLift, it's kind of this legacy thing. We're taking some of my dad's best ideas and we're building them. We're taking the processes we learned in Amplify and turning them into books, into courses, into workshops. And man, that Healthy Church book, like this last year, it was translated. First year, it's out. Like we've not even promoted the book yet. 3 languages already. And a conversation yesterday about doing it into another, and more conversations happening about others. So when guys go around the world and go train pastors and ministry leaders, like they can learn it in their own language and then disseminate it to their people. And then projects like after this, I'm on my way out the door to go do a meeting that I told you about with the local sports team, promoting possibly something else that's coming out of that whole 501c3 ecosystem of ideas. All right, so let's just crash land it. My prayer for you, you're listening in, is Lord bless you, He keep you. He be gracious, shine His face of favor upon you, and may you just have the wisdom to see what's going on around you, to see the legacy, to see the ideas, to see the influence, and pause, pay attention, and lean into it. Grace and peace. We'll see you soon.